Hello. In this video, I'm going to show you my experience with Morgellons disease, and I believe it's caused by the larva of the sandfly called a glassworm. These are pictures I've got off the internet of the glassworm, and you can see that they're very translucent. And what they've done is similar to fleas, they make a cocoon from carpet fibers. And you can see here, sore. This is a sore I had. It was just a very small red speck on my leg. And under a USB port microscope, enlarged, you can see the larva head here. Let's go on to the, and there it is better, the head here of the larva. And now the sandfly, it is a fly, so you might, and it's a very small, in fact, they're called NoseeUms along the beach, but they really pack a bad bite. And what they do, it looks like what they're doing is they bite and then lay an egg, similar to a regular fly having a maggot, or maggots. So this fly, its larva, is a lot more potent, you might say, and it's causing, I think, it's causing the Morgellons disease. And the fibers, the colored fibers you see, are the fibers from its cocoon. Here you can see the larva head, and I really had a battle with these. And I never did see the sandfly until I got some bug zappers, the electric bug zappers with a blue light. And they're pretty cheap off of Amazon, and they've been well worth their money. At the time of where I shot this video, I hadn't seen the sandfly yet, but you can see the head here, and the sandfly itself, the flying insect, needs a blood meal, and the female needs a blood meal in order to lay eggs. The male doesn't do that, doesn't suck the blood. And I have some pictures I'll show later of the flies that I've actually got out of the bug zappers. And since I got the bug zappers, the problem has really diminished the point to where it's livable. This is from a sore on my leg. There's another good shot of the head. Now, I actually went to my dermatologist and showed her these pictures of the larva and everything, and she gave me pills to take, which for parasites that you might get in your skin. You can see here where I squished it, and you see the blood all over the place. And it also the glassworm like exploded. Here's the head of the glassworm in the sore. And the sores, when they get pretty big, you can see the worm larva laying in the sore. And when it dies, like put alcohol or something, you kill it. For days after that, you can still see the dead larva laying in the sore. And when my dermatologist took a sample, she took a sample. These sandflies are a pest worldwide, and they cause a disease called leishmaniasis in other countries. It's bad in Mexico and in Brazil, and soldiers coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan have had leishmaniasis. In the Army, you can look up, they have a publication on trying to, how to deal with it. there's really not a chemical they can even spray to get rid of these sandflies. And the sandflies cause a lot of trouble with horses and sheep around the world. There's a good picture of that larva head. And the sores are, this one isn't, it's a fresh sores, the reason that they have a rim to them. And it's very similar to the leishmaniasis sores also have a rim to them. And like I say, my dermatologist took a specimen. I told her I want to get checked for the leishmaniasis since I'm pretty sure that this sandfly is doing this. And I didn't have it. The leishmaniasis isn't in the United States, except for the cases coming in from soldiers and tourists coming from other countries. But I'm just afraid in a few years it will be. Here's one where it just exploded when I pinched the sore. And there's the cocoon. They make this cocoon. Fleas do the same thing. The larva of a flea will wrap itself in, make a cocoon out of carpet fibers, and these things are doing the same thing, except they're becoming airborne. It's like a lint particle that becomes airborne, and then they're able to land on you, and then the larva will bite and makes the sores, which is causing the Morgellons sores. And that's where the fibers come from the sores. You see in Morgellons disease, you see the fibers coming out of the sores. Really weird. Go ahead and speed this up a little bit. More fibers. A lot of these, and when you squish them, you can see this the translucent material of the glassworm body. Let me speed up here. Another fiber. When I would take a bath, I would have maybe 25 of these fibers things floating in the water. And for a while, I used the Morgellons treatments of Boraxo you see on the web and all. But since I got rid of the get rid of the sandflies, I haven't really had that big of a problem with sores or these lint parts. So let me stop the video and I'm going to show you some pictures. This is a picture I took of a bug that was zapped in the bug zapper, and that is the male sandfly. Really crazy. Look at this, like a clown nose, his eyes, and but that's very typical. And let me show you the female sand. This is a picture of the female sandfly, and this is the knife it uses to make an incision in the skin to get the blood meal. You see her eyes here is really blown up, and it's not a very good picture because of all these lines in it, but that's the female sandfly. You can see the eye here. There's the knife, and its mouth is right here, and it laps up the blood. And then it can lay larvae, and it's the larvae that are the glassworms. By the way, glassworms are a good fishing bait, and you can buy glassworms on the internet. Really weird that you could buy these things that are causing us so much trouble. Here's a picture that shows the blood sore with the larva in it, and it must have crawled out of this lint ball, its cocoon, to get into that, and it's left that in the hairs on my leg. You can see this is greatly enlarged, about 100 times. Now these things really cause some weird things to come out of your skin. Here's something reddish, a growth of some kind that It almost looks like a head of Satan with some horns there. Here's a picture of a sore that's healing, and you can see the blue fiber in the sore, and you can see that the sore has a rim to it, which is peculiar to, you don't see any other sores that have that rim. But the leishmaniasis sores do have that rim also, but I did not have the leishmaniasis. Now here's a picture of a sore that's healed, and you can see the dead bodies of the dried larvae that are actually sticking up out of the sore. And the sores are pretty much dried up too. And I could kill the larvae that are in the sore with alcohol or bleach, and then after that the sores would start to heal. And I had some cream from my dermatologist put on. Actually, when she took the sample for the leishmaniasis, there were two of these things sticking up out of the sore. Here's a picture of a strange microscopic growth I had coming up out of the skin after having the larva sores. Have no idea what that is. Here's another picture of a sore where you can see the head of the larva and the body of the larva. And that sore has been treated probably several days ago previous to this with bleach or something that's killed everything in it. And the sore is healing, but as it heals, you can still see the dried body of the larva. There's the head, and it goes all the way back to here. And there you can see the rim of the sore. This is taken through the microscope. Here's another picture of a dead dried larva coming up out of the sore on my leg, and it's dead, but and the remnant of it seems to just raise its head up out of the sore. There's another picture of that male sandfly taken out of the bug zapper. Here's another microscopic picture of the head of a sandfly, and I believe that's the knife that's on the female. Right here's mouth. Here's a good picture of the sore showing the rim and a red thread coming up out of it. Like I say, that thread was from the carpet hairs that the larvae used for a cocoon. And here's another sore, kind of the rim right here, and something sticking up out of it. And you can see some fibers and really weird shapes. And here's another sore with a larva in it, a dead larva with a hair, with a fiber from the carpet in it. And here's a picture of the larva with his head sticking out of the skin. And he's alive there. But a drop of bleach takes care of him. And here's another sore with the dead larva. There's his head and body. Like I say, at the time I was taking all these pictures, I'd never seen the sandfly, the flying insect that was causing all these yet. Yet they were obviously flying around the house, and they're called NoseeUms at the beach. And you think they're mosquitoes, but they're really a fly. It's a fly that has larvae. And here's a microscopic picture of the cocoon. This is the what you're seeing here is a microscopic. That's a cloth, probably a handkerchief or something that I laid the cocoon on to get its picture. And there's probably a translucent, transparent larvae inside here. It looks like we see the eyes right here. And they become airborne by making this cocoon out of carpet. And then they're able to fly through the air and land on you. And they actually crawl over the skin inside this cocoon. And they can bite you while they're inside this cocoon. Here's another picture of a sore with the head of the larva sticking up. It's dried and dead, several days old, and dead for several days, and the sore is healing real well. Here's another picture of the sandfly that I got out of the bug zapper. Like I say, I never saw these until I bought the bug zappers and started seeing what was causing all those sores. Now here's a uh, body of the sandfly that I got out of the bug zapper, and then I found these pictures on the internet of the sandfly. I called a biting midge also. That's the sandflies I called a biting midge. Look at the antenna here, how similar that is. Here's its wings, and this is and I believe that is the knife of the female right here. And this one looks like it had laid in the zapper several days. It's dried out, but you can see the resemblance of the picture. And that's how I identified that what I was actually, the bug I was getting in this bug zapper was the sandfly. Here's a little closer up picture of the sandfly, dead sandfly, and the knife. Another close-up picture of the sandfly caught in the bug zapper. And here's a weird thing coming up out of the skin after a sore's healed. Really weird looking. You see this red thing coming up out of the skin. Another head of the larva sticking up out of the skin. And here's a picture. I believe that's a live larva sticking up out of the sore, a fleshy sore. And under the microscope. This is a really weird picture. You look, I think it's a fibrous, one of those cocoons, and you can see all of these little larvae, insects, or something, parts of it. Look at this head here in the back of its head. It looks like it's seen out of a Hades movie or something. Look at these bodies, eyes, worm, really weird looking stuff. And here's another sore. There's the rim of the sore. It's healing. You can see the good skin growing in, and maybe the rim is caused by the body that's separating the foreign material in the sore from the good skin. And sometimes, though, this rim has the larva. It looks like that's the head of a larva right here, forming part of this rim. Now here's another sore, active sore, and you can see the head of the larva sticking up out of the blood in the sore. Here's a real good close-up picture of the eye of the and the head of the sandfly. Weird-looking creature, and it causes a lot of problems through. This is a strange picture. I had the sore, and I scraped the sore, and it's like the larva, the glassworm, just exploded, and then here's part of it, and it's got blood on the translucent part of its body here, and also the blood where it exploded, it got all over the hairs and stuff around the sore. But I think that is the body of the larva right here. another picture from a different angle of that same larva body. And you can see these aren't regular fibers here. I think those are fibers from the carpet. Another picture of the larva. Now this is a larva where it's translucent and you can see some hairs in it and eyes, and it's really strange looking. Here's a sore under the microscope. You can see the head of a larva. There's the rim of the sore. And I believe that is another larva laying in here. Maybe it's dead. And there's another picture of the culprit of all this, the sandfly. These are common throughout Florida on the beaches, Carolina beaches. They call them NoseeUms, and they come out in swarms, and they'll really bite. They'll cause horses to stampede. There's another one of our buddies. The sandfly. And here's another one. And a better close-up picture of one. There's the head. And another picture. And there she is, ready to bite in and get a blood meal. But I got her in the zapper first. Here's another close-up picture, probably 100 times magnification of the under the microscope. It's a little USB microscope you can get for about $20 on Amazon, and really been helpful. Between the bug zappers and the microscope has really helped with the investigation of what was causing all these problems. And another good picture of one. So I'll conclude the video here. Like I say, I just about gotten rid of the sores by the time I figured out what was causing it was this sandfly. But once I did that and I got the bug zappers and started seeing these things, I was sure I got it. Actually, I still get bit, but the bug zappers are keeping them small enough to where they don't create that sores that large. And I also have to spray with flying insect spray about twice a day. And between the flying insect spray and cleaning, it helps a lot to sweep the carpet a lot, to get a lot of them up that way. But we still have them. And Orkin and Terminex don't have a spray for these things. There's nothing that really they can do to get rid of them.